welcome back to the deep dive.
Yeah.
You know, I usually try to come at these deep dives with an open mind, but I gotta say, this one has me seeing red a little bit.
Yeah, hear that.
We're diving into this article, NDP Crisis, Canadians Demand Jagmeet Singh's Resignation.
Right.
And honestly, it feels like everywhere you turn, people are asking, like, what has Jagmeet Singh actually done for Canadians?
It's interesting how this article really, taps into this feeling that's been bubbling under the surface for a while, you know?
Yeah.
Like this whole idea that Singh's basically become Trudeau's right-hand man.
Yeah.
You know, completely abandoning what the NDP is supposed to be all about, like the party of the people.
Go away.
They even go so far as to say he's Robin to Trudeau's Batman.
Oh, yeah.
Which honestly is kind of funny, but also
Kind of accurate.
not that far off when you think about it.
It's not just a clever line, though, right?
Right.
This article goes on to list all these specific instances where Singh has basically propped Trudeau up, especially when it comes to those crucial confidence votes.
Exactly.
Think about the WE charity scandal.
Oh, man.
Like, talk about a blatant conflict of interest.
Oh,
And what does Singh do?
yeah.
Votes to keep Trudeau in power.
Of course.
Or how about those carbon tax hikes that are hitting everyone so hard
I know.
every time you go to fill up your tank?
Ugh, it's ridiculous.
And who's standing right there with Trudeau?
Yeah.
Singh.
It's infuriating.
It really is.
It's like what's especially mind-boggling is how Singh suddenly finds his voice to criticize the Liberals, like right when Trudeau announces he's stepping down.
Right.
Like after years of enabling these policies that have just made everything more expensive and eroded trust in the government.
Totally.
He wants to pretend he was on our side this whole time.
Oh, come on. Give me a break.
It's so disingenuous.
so
And
transparent.
it's like he's jumping off a sinking ship.
Yeah, exactly.
And you know who is not letting him get away with it?
Who?
Pierre Poilievre.
Oh, yeah.
The article points out how Poilievre's calling Singh out for what he is.
Which is a
Hypocrite. Oh, absolutely.
straight up.
Yeah.
And you got to give Poilievre credit.
For what?
His strategy is pretty smart.
How so?
He's not just going after Singh personally. He's linking Singh's actions directly to the problems Canadians are facing every day.
Yeah, I see that.
Grocery bills are insane.
Out of control.
Wages are stuck.
Totally stagnant.
And the housing crisis just keeps getting worse.
It's a nightmare.
And Poilievre's saying, this is what happens when you have someone like Singh supporting Trudeau blindly.
Makes sense.
And people they're tired of the empty promises and the political games.
Yeah, they want someone who's actually fighting for them.
Exactly. And Singh just doesn't seem to be that guy.
Right.
It's all talk, no action.
Totally.
And speaking of all talk, remember that free dental care for seniors he's always bragging about?
Oh, yeah, that signature achievement.
Right.
Except it's not even actually free. That's just so hard to qualify for.
Super limited.
Like a drop in the bucket compared to the real issues people are dealing with.
You said it.
Feels more like a distraction tactic than anything else.
It really does. And it makes you wonder, like, where was Singh when people were really struggling during the pandemic?
Right.
Where was his voice during the convoy protests?
Good point.
If he was really a leader for the people, shouldn't he have been front and center?
For sure.
Demanding action, offering solutions?
Like always.
You know, like a real leader does.
Absolutely.
It's just crickets from Singh.
Yeah, it's deafening silence from him on the important stuff.
Exactly.
And that's actually where this article gets even more interesting, you know, because it's not just people outside the NDP who are angry with Singh.
Oh, really?
It's like brewing within the party itself.
Wow, so this isn't just some right-wing talking point or whatever?
No, not at all. This is coming from like longtime NDP supporters, you know.
Okay.
Even card-carrying members, they're saying Singh's totally lost the plot.
Yeah, it does seem like he's gone off the rails a bit.
Totally. They're saying he's abandoned the party's core values, like its soul, even.
All for what?
Yeah, exactly. Like, what is he even trying to achieve here?
Power, maybe?
Could be, or relevance, I guess.
Just a seat at the table, even if it means screwing over everyday Canadians.
That's what it feels like, right?
Totally. And the article actually quotes some pretty disillusioned NDP folks.
Oh, wow.
And they straight up admit that this whole alliance with the Liberals totally backfired.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You know, it alienated the voters who saw the NDP as a real alternative.
Right. The ones who actually believed they'd fight for working families.
Exactly. Affordable housing, fairer system, you know, all that.
Yeah, now they're seen as basically the same as the Liberals.
Just another cog in the machine.
Exactly.
It's pretty sad, actually, because it's such a far cry from the NDP that used to actually stand up to the establishment. You know,
I know what you mean.
challenge the status quo, be a voice for the voiceless.
Right.
Where did that fighting spirit go?
Yeah.
That willingness to be the underdog, to stand on principle, even if it meant being unpopular.
This is like they've completely lost their
Well,
spine.
totally. And the article really captures this sense of betrayal.
Mm-hmm.
It goes way beyond just specific policies. It's about this fundamental disconnect between what Singh's doing and what a lot of people feel is the NDP's core mission.
Yeah, like a total identity crisis.
And let's not forget, this isn't just some abstract philosophical debate.
Right.
This has real consequences for people you know.
Absolutely.
The article lays out some of the main reasons why Canadians are so fed up with Singh, and they're pretty hard to argue with.
Like what?
Well, first off, there's this huge lack of accountability.
Oh, yeah. I see
By
that.
constantly backing Trudeau in those confidence votes, Singh basically gave him a free pass on everything.
A blank check, basically.
Exactly. Whether it was the WU scandal, the carbon tax hikes, the out-of-control inflation clan, Trudeau never faced any consequences for his actions.
It's like Singh was shielding him.
Totally. His support was a shield that let the Liberals do whatever they wanted, regardless of what people were going through.
Wow.
And then there's the whole question of Singh's motivations.
Yeah, that's a big one.
The article doesn't shy away from this either. It brings up some pretty uncomfortable questions.
Like what?
Well, was he really acting in the best interests of Canadians?
Right.
Or was this all about personal gain?
Interesting.
Maybe making sure he gets his pension or advancing some other agenda we don't even know about.
It definitely raises some eyebrows.
It's fueled a lot of speculation and distrust, for sure.
Understandably so.
I mean, when your actions contradict your words so blatantly, it's only natural for people to start questioning your motives.
Absolutely.
And then there's the hypocrisy of it all.
Ugh, don't even get me started on that.
After years of supporting these policies, Singh's sudden criticism of the Liberals just rings so hollow.
It's pathetic.
Like a desperate attempt to rewrite history, save face.
And nobody's buying it.
No way.
It's like watching someone try to jump off a sinking ship at the last minute and pretend they weren't the captain staring it into the rocks the whole time.
It's a terrible look. And you know who ends up suffering?
Who?
The people on that ship.
Of course.
They're the ones left to deal with the wreckage.
Right.
The rising costs, the stagnant wages, the feeling that the government is totally out of touch with their struggles.
Yeah.
It all goes back to those decisions Singh made.
It's his legacy.
And this isn't just politics.
No.
This is people's lives.
Absolutely. This is where the rubber meets the road, you know?
Yeah.
People are struggling to put food on the table, keep a roof over their heads, and they're looking for leadership, for someone to fight for them.
Right.
And frankly, a lot of them are seeing Singh as part of the problem, not the solution.
So where does this leave the NDP? I mean, if this article's right and it feels like it's echoing what a lot of Canadians are thinking, they're at a pretty serious crossroads.
Yeah, no kidding. They've lost their identity, their purpose.
The article's pretty blunt. It says Jagmeet Singh needs to step down, like completely.
Yeah, they're saying the NDP needs a leader who actually gets what everyday Canadians are going through.
Right, someone who's willing to stand up to the establishment and not be buddies with it. But is that even possible at this point? You know, has the NDP strayed so far from its roots that there's no going back?
It's a good question.
I mean, look at their track record years of propping up the Liberals, embracing policies that have actually hurt the people they claim to represent.
Yeah.
It's tough to imagine them regaining that trust, that credibility.
It's a tough road ahead, for sure.
So what do?
Well, the article says they need to reconnect with their core values, you know?
Okay.
Be the party that actually fights for affordable housing, accessible health care, a living wage.
Right, but those are just words.
Yeah.
What concrete actions can they take to prove they're serious?
That's the million-dollar question.
Because Canadians are tired of the empty promises and the political games. They want to see real change, real results.
Absolutely. They
Yeah.
need to walk the walk, not just talk the talk.
So what does that look like?
Well, the article says they need to stop playing political games and start offering real solutions, you know? They need to be the voice of the working class, the voice of the marginalized, the voice of those who are actually struggling to make ends meet.
But can they really do that? Can they actually shed this image of being Trudeau's lapdog?
Yeah.
Of being more concerned with political maneuvering than with people's actual needs?
I mean, that's the real question, isn't it?
It is. It's the question that'll determine their future.
Yeah. Their actions or inaction will speak volumes.
Will they keep going down this path of compromise and complacency? Or will they rediscover that fighting spirit, that commitment to social justice?
Only time will tell.
Well, this deep dive has been a real eye-opener for sure.
Yeah, it's been a wild ride.
We've seen the anger, the disillusionment that so many Canadians are feeling towards Jagmeet Singh and the NDP.
And rightfully so.
Whether they can earn back the trust they've lost is anyone's guess, but one thing's for sure.
What's that?
The stakes are incredibly high for the NDP and for Canada.